Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about named functions in Google Sheets. Now, named functions are basically custom functions that you can create without writing any code at all. They're just made up of other Google Sheets functions all combined together. So I have in my spreadsheet a list of cars sold and the names of the dealerships where they were sold from. And I want to know if any of the cars sold were models that were actually associated with the dealership. So for example, here we have a Dodge Stratus that was sold from Saab Bell Dodge. And the way I'm going to do that is just check if the company name exists in the dealer name. So the way I'd usually do that is start with a search function. So I'd search for Ford in the dealer name here. And in this case, I'm going to get an error because it can't find it. And if I was to do that for the second row, then it would return 12 because Dodge starts at the 12th character in the dealer name. So that's great, but it's not very useful if I want to do an if, because for an if function, I need true or false. So what I usually do is just wrap my search function in an ISNUMBER function. So that now returns false if there's an error and doesn't return a number, and true if it does return a number, which means it can actually find that text in there. But what I can do with named functions is, instead of having to do ISNUMBER search, I can combine that into one complete function on its own. So if I come to data and select named functions, and then add a new function, I'm going to give it a name, so contains a description. So I'm going to say checks if one text string exists in another. And that's important because when people start typing equals contains in, this will come up and explain what it does. Now, arguments are what you put into the function. So in this case, it's B3 and A3. So I'm going to give them two pretty basic names. So search for and search in. So the text that you want to search for and which text you want to search in. Now, the formula definition, that's the important bit. So this is where we're actually going to define our named function. So in this case, it's going to be equals ISNUMBER as before and search as before. But instead of giving it cell references, I'm going to use my two arguments. So search for and search in. Close my brackets. So now I'm going to hit next. Now, there's some additional details here to describe what those arguments are doing. So search for is obviously going to be the text string to search for. And for example, let's just put test. And for search in, text string to search in. And an example, this is a test. Now, in that case, with the example, that my function would return true because it's searching for test. In, this is a test. So let's create that function. So now that's my list of named functions. I've just got my contains for now. So I can replace my ISNUMBER search with equals contains. And you can see here, it's got that description I gave it. And when I start writing it, you can see it's got all the descriptions of my arguments and the example as well. So in this case, it's still going to be contains B2, A2. So we're still searching for Ford within the dealer name, and that's still false. And if I drag that down, then it's still true for the second row as well. So that's all good. So now I can copy that all the way down my column and use my custom function all the way down without having to write ISNUMBER search. Now, the really useful thing about these named functions is that you can use them across different spreadsheets as well. So if I come into a totally new Google Sheet, then I can come to data, named functions again. But instead of adding a new function, I can now import. So I hit import and select my other Google Sheet where I created it. Hit insert, then it will search through and find all the named formulas. So in this case, we've just got contains, so I'll tick that and hit import. If you had lots of custom functions or named functions, then you could import them all at once. So let's hit that. And now let's use my actual example. So let's say this is a test and equals contains. You can see it's got the description. So I'm searching for test, and this is a test, and it will return true. If I put, for example, red's not in, this is the test, so now it's false. And now anyone who has access to this first sheet can do that import. So it doesn't have to be just you, your whole team can use that. So you could create one Google Sheet with all your named functions in, and then everybody who you share that with could import all your named functions in one go.